I was starving. I was in a famine. And what was I in a famine of? Finding chuds online. Not just any type of chud, VTuber chuds, because those are my favorite types of chuds because they don't make a lot of sense to me. The person that I want to talk about today, this VTuber that I want to talk about today is this one right here. She goes by the name Banana Juju. She's a monkey VTuber and she streams on everyone's three favorite platforms: Twitch, YouTube, and then Kick, which, Kick was a signifier for me here that we might be getting something fucking tasty today when it comes to a chud. And the story of me looking at Banana Juju's account starts right here with this tweet. Now, the thing that she quote retweeted is kind of blocked out, but I'm going to show it in a second, where she just says, "And the horror award goes to," and it's a tweet right here from this person, this content creator, basically just like showing that she got an award for being a top 0.1% creator on Fansly in the year 2025. And so I think it is kind of crazy just like go to a random person online and call them a whore. It doesn't really make any sense to me. Like, I don't know what you're expecting here other than just like, I guess, being intentionally provocative to get a lot of people like mad at you and also a lot of attention from the chuds. Be like, yes, you call that woman, you insult that random woman that you don't know. You probably never talked back and forth to each other at all. You go, you do it. And then obviously it then showed up on my page because I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And so I saw that she was just calling a random different other content creator a whore. And she tried to, I guess, justify her actions and, using this insult by responding to a dude who went, "Who is this hurting by her showing off an award she got for being on Fansly? Yeah, it's not content I would want her lifestyle I would choose, but unless she's hurting others or pushing it on minors, why does it matter?" Responds with, "Who is this hurting by me calling an award she got for being on Fansly by its name? Yeah, it's not content." And then she'd like, copy paste whatever the guy said. Obviously, I'm not expecting her to have like really well thought out critical thinking skills or really a brain at all. But you can very clearly see that there's a fundamental difference in these two things where like she's just kind of posting an award for, her success. And then Banana Juju is just going like, "I'm going to call you, I'm just going to insult you for no reason." And then obviously taking the, I'm in the right stance by saying, "Oh, but I just called the word award by its name, even though that's not what its name is. But I did it because it's the award if by the name that you think about it." And also, I like figured out like an hour and a half before she even like quote retweeted the tweet. She then called this person a whore again, or like before, so she's done it twice. And both of these times seem like entirely unprovoked, but like I don't even know what's going on. I don't know what she's doing here. I don't know what her goal is other than just getting a lot of people mad, which, I guess successfully you got me. Even though I'm not really particularly mad, it's just like, once again, this is my favorite thing to do, which is laughing at chuddy VTubers because I think they're like a paradoxical existence. And so it's a fun experience for me, I guess. So thank you for the content, Banana Juju. I really appreciate it. And obviously, I can't just like leave a potential chud on its own. I have to go through her account and, do a little bit more investigative journalism to see, what type of person we're dealing with, what type of fish we got on the hook. So she's made content like that's still going off the Learning Center drama. And like for those who don't know, who aren't like terminally online in politics, it's basically just a guy named Nick Shirley went to Minnesota and attempted to expose a bunch of different like daycare centers for being fraudulent, with the entire purpose of them being like, these Somali daycare centers that are like ripping off people and taking off tax money, even though a lot of them had been investigated for fraud and like charged with fraud, and like some of them had even shut down. And then the rest of them, they were going like during days where the schools were closed. So like, there's no kids at these daycare centers on the days off. It has to be fraudulent. Or they just weren't being into the daycare centers because a bunch of men showed up with cameras and were asking to get let into an area where a bunch of kids are. And very, unsurprisingly, people didn't let these bunch of men with cameras into a daycare center with a bunch of kids. But, I don't think she really cares about the full story here. She's like making this anti-learning center, anti-Muslim content where it's just like, we can't have private Muslim-only get-togethers in public buildings. Things need to change. We got to get rid of them. They're invading our Western culture and harming it all for all of us. That's kind of one thing that she makes. Let's keep on going, though. She was part of the mixtape drama. Now, obviously, what is their take on it? Gaming journalists are the spawn of Satan themselves and Satan incarnate if they rank a game good that is a game that they don't like, because games that they don't like are woke and gay and cringe and gay and woke and dumb and gay and woke and gay. And the thing is that, obviously, I'm assuming that, if mixtape was given like a 4 out of 10 on IGN or whatever, she would have been like, yes, thank God, IGN, you've saved it. Because when it comes to like the gaming journalist drama, these type of people like actually care about gaming drama or gaming journalist drama and care about whether or not their game is scored a higher low score, are literally just looking for like their own confirmation bias. Where if the game that they think is like woke and gay gets a 10 out of 10, it's gaming journalist being the spawn of Satan. But if that same gaming journalist gives a game that they think is woke and gay a 4 out of 10, then the gaming journalist is the smartest person ever, and they're saving West and they're saving journalism as a profession. So very fun, very interesting, and very highbrow content from this person. And obviously, unsurprising, she's mad at the Odyssey because it's just, I guess, a feminist Odyssey, more like a feminist Odyssey as she describes it. Hollywood is at it again. And obviously, there's two casting choices. I'm pretty sure Elliot Page is supposed to be Achilles, and I do not know this actress's name, but I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be Helen of Troy. Now, I could be wrong, and I could be stupid and dumb, but I have a very limited knowledge of pop culture, and I think it's a fucking shock to myself that I know who Elliot Page is. Anyway, a lot of people are mad at Elliot Page's Achilles because I guess Achilles is supposed to be this brolic man, and this largely just becomes from the fact that Achilles shifted the entire layout of the Trojan War mainly because his boyfriend got murdered in the Trojan War, and then he finally said that a grudge that I was holding against King Agamemnon was not worth it, and then he entered the war, and then he just kind of balled out until he died, because he got hit by his Achilles heel. And because he's dead, and because the Odyssey takes place after the Trojan War, he's a ghost in the story, so his kind of presence is entirely irrelevant, and maybe in the ghost world, maybe in the River Styx, or maybe wherever the fuck Achilles is in the story, because I don't remember, because I read it like 3 years ago. Maybe his ghostly form has changed the way he looks. But you're getting up mad over a character who's almost entirely inconsequential, other than Odysseus just starting talking to him a little bit, like when he goes to see the people who have died. And then, obviously they're mad at Helen of Troy, or a Greek woman being cast as black, which, I guess this is the most unrealistic thing humanly possible. And that, let me just pull something up real quick. I don't know, maybe a giant cyclops. Obviously, this is from the trailer, and it's very dark, but this is fucking Polyphemus. It's a cyclops. So we draw the line at a character in the Odyssey being cast as black. But when Polyphemus shows up, who's a fucking cyclops, or maybe Charybdis, when the Charybdis shows up, who's a giant fucking squid who sucks in so much water that it creates a whirlpool, those are fine. But no, if God forbid a minority gets cast in the Odyssey, because that makes it unrealistic. And then another fork found in kitchen scenario. Not breaking news at all. She likes AI. Here's the something she posted of her being on a fucking surfboard with Grok. She showed her Grok online, and so I'm not surprised. But once again, I think it's a funny thing to point out that every single one of these people that I've highlighted are massive lovers of AI for some reason. I don't know what it is about them, but they just truly love AI, and it literally just might be because they're to being contrarians, and because a lot of people online are against AI. They said, "Oh well, this is my new personality now," and then they run with it for I don't know why. And one more interesting little tidbit about this entire person's existence online is that I found interesting. And now, obviously, I can't 100% show that this is true or not, but this one person was talking about how they knew or how he knew her before she did this whole 180 monkey VTuber grift. Where this guy said, as someone who knew her before rebranding to a monkey VTuber, I'd be lying if I didn't say that the complete 180 in her behavior didn't give me such horrible whiplash. And goes on to say she was a lax goofball that I would tune in to during the weekend mornings for decent conversation while she played some very interesting games I had never heard of. Interactions both live and in our Discord server at the same time were respectful enough for me to stick around. And so I guess she used to be a normal, upstanding human being who was kind of tight and cool. And then for some reason she just went completely off the deep end and started making this type of content where she was being a hater. Maybe it's because she, I don't know, saw some money and said, all right, it's game time now. It's time to make some bank. Maybe she was just kind of hiding who she really was online. And then I don't know, for some reason decided one day to pivot into being who she actually was. Really no idea unless she just comes out and says it herself, which I don't think that will ever happen. But that's just kind of what's going on here. Once again, another Chud VTuber, another one of the same type of contents that she's making, obviously right-wing reactionary content. Interestingly enough, not an American one this time. She's from Sweden, which is a fun little fact about this. I just enjoy making these videos because I like seeing the fact that these Chud VTubers are for some reason one of the most paradoxical existence online because they hate a lot of the stuff that they're in the community that they are. And they're intentionally provocative too. They attack other VTubers in their community, or not in the community, in the greater VTubing community. That I could have rephrased that better. They attack VTubers who are also in the same part of the greater VTuber community. And their entire existence is just being provocative and annoying and trying to get people mad at them because I guess they have some sort of greater interest in them just getting humiliated the entire time and yelled at because I guess they want the attention that much. I had gone a pretty extended period of time without talking about these types of people, but this one unfortunately showed up on my feed and I just had to take the bait, like the dumb little fucking anchovy that I am. Hope this was an enlightening experience like it was for me. I always am entertained by making these. But yeah, that's all I want to talk about for today. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.